that. No excuses allowed. Everybody got that? No excuses. If you have a good, you got to be in the hospital. If your spouse or significant other's in the hospital, you just tell them that you'll come up and visit them after you go to the party. You got it? So we want you to be there. Okay, so it'll be fun, 5 to 10. Please invite someone, your significant other or another agent or anybody that you want to. So it's going to be a lot of fun for that. So Emily, it's all yours.
Thanks, Jack. Give him a hand. All right. Can you guys hear me? Just gotta talk really close to this thing. There's some open seats. Feel free. Come on in. There's one right here, right by me. There's some over here in the back, maybe by the printer. There's one next to Anthony. Plenty of space. All right. Raise your hand if you've gotten the Bees Night FAQs email. Keep your hand raised if you read it. Raise your hand if you're going to read it after this meeting, not during, after. Okay. Again, Bees Night next Wednesday. Can you guys believe it? Wow. Wow. It came up so fast. Randy and I will be celebrating our birthday there, so feel free to come say hello. Just kidding. It's on June 5th. Anyway, Bees Night next Wednesday, first night. We're super excited. Read the FAQs email if you have any questions. You can also post in the events channel on Slack. We're happy to answer any questions. Super excited. Does anyone know what time you're expected to be there? I'll take 6:05. 6:15. 6:15 is what we noted. What time do clients arrive? 6:30. Okay, so we're asking you, please be there, be present before your clients arrive. Gates open at 6:05. The game starts at 7:05. It's going to be great. We're super excited. We will have a check-in at both entrances. Okay, there's one that's near VIP parking. I don't know if some of your clients are like big Bees fans. For those that are, we'll have a little check-in table for them, but for the most part, we'll have the main check-in next to the parking lots. Any questions about Bees Night? Clear as mud? Read your email and hopefully that will help. The next item of discussion I have for you guys is open house sign ordering. So we do have the open house sign checkout form on TPG Stats under marketing. If you guys have your laptop or phone open, go to TPG Stats for me really quick. I want to make sure everybody can find it. You're going to click on the marketing tab on TPG Stats. And it's going to be that little open house sign checkout form. So as a reminder, they'll be delivered here to the Salt Lake office at 3 o'clock. By 3 o'clock on Friday. They might be delivered earlier than that. We'll post a little roster of agents that checked out signs, how many signs they checked out, and then initial when you pick them up. If you need open house signs, put that in by Thursday at what time? 12 o'clock. Okay, Thursday by noon. That gives us enough time to get the order in. If you guys have questions about the open house sign checkout, you can reach out to me or post in the open house channel. I'll check there and answer any questions. Okay. Do we have anyone new or visiting the team for the first time? First team meeting here with the Perry Group? I know everybody. Okay, go ahead and stand up for me. I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves. Feel free, stand up. Okay, Sergey, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us how long you've been in real estate.
I'm Sergey. I have been in real estate for now 6 years. I did this week joining Perry Group and Real. I'm very excited.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out. Go ahead. Awesome. Thanks for coming. All right, Tristan, it's over to you.
One mic. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Today sounds like it's going to be a really fun day here. Carla and I have a title tip for you guys. It's now coming into summertime, and there's a lot of holidays coming up. And title companies run off of federal and some state holidays. So with that being said, we have, let's see what's next. Juneteenth, 4th of July, Pioneer Day, and Labor Day are the ones coming up the quickest. And with that being said, there's just a tip for you guys.
Is it off? Oh, okay. Yeah, so with that, we just want to make sure that you guys give yourself a little bit of a spread when you're scheduling your settlement dates. Be sure to give 2 or 3 days before it's an actual holiday in case we have any delays, then you guys aren't going to be held back as far as funds go or anything like that. And especially if your clients are planning on moving in that long period for a holiday. So, yeah, that's it. All right, we have Destination Homes. Come on over.
Oh, thanks. How's everybody doing? Thanks for having us. We just want to do a quick introduction. We're with Destination Homes. We are one of the larger local builders in Utah. Currently, majority of everything we do is in South Jordan out in Daybreak, but we were just acquired by Larry H. Miller, the group of companies, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. So where the old owners only were kind of limiting us on our growth, only wanted to do about 200 homes a year, Larry H. Miller has taken us to probably in the 500 range of how many homes we're going to be building in the next few years. Courtney will go over some of the new projects we're going to have. We're going to have anything across Davis, Utah, Summit, Utah, or Salt Lake County. So I've recognized a handful of your faces. Hope to see a lot more of you in the future.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Or do I just need to talk loud? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to briefly talk about why you would want to work with Destination Homes. I can relate with you guys. Before working with Destination Homes about 3 years ago, I was an independent agent, had my own brokerage, did a lot of deals with builders in Daybreak, and actually worked with John just a ton, and him and the team were just fantastic. Destination Homes, we really like to take care of our outside realtors. The agents have been trained to make sure that we do great communication. We make you guys look good so that your buyers appreciate your representation and want to do future deals and get you referrals. As a builder, we also have, of course, our set buyer's agency commission. It's 2.5%, and it's a net purchase price, not off of the base price of homes. So in a lot of segments, especially like John's, that can sometimes increase your actual purchase price to, $100,000 on what you'll get paid with your commission. And then we also love to have repeat clients. So during a calendar year, starting on your second transaction, we bump up to a 3% BAC, and then move forward for the rest of the deals through that year at 3%. So I think that within your brokerage, I've had a couple clients who have come out, and I know we've done 2 or 3 deals in this last couple months. So hope to keep that up and would love to meet more of you guys.
Hey guys, I am Courtney. First off, I just have to say that's the cutest little baby I've ever seen in my life. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I am Destination Homes' online sales counselor. So if you've ever been on our website, you've probably seen my face next to the little text me icon down at the bottom. Essentially, my job is to have a brief overview on all of our different communities, different segments that we have. So if you ever have specific questions about our company, our different product, if you ever have a client who is looking for something specific, feel free to text me, call me, whatever's easiest for you, and I can help point you in the right direction on that. Speaking of brief overview, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a rundown of what we've got going on right now, specifically in the Salt Lake County area. So as John mentioned, we are mainly in Daybreak. One really cool thing about that is we have a lot of different product, a little bit of something for everyone. We have townhomes that are starting in the low 400s, so kind of starter home townhomes. Moving up, we have what we call the paired homes. This is going to be a little bit larger sized townhomes, more of a duplex style with basements on them. Those are going to be starting in the mid 500s. We also have what we are calling our luxury townhomes. These have designer upgrades throughout. They're stunning. They're located right on the water course in Daybreak, which is a really desirable area. Super beautiful. Those are also going to be in the mid 500s. Moving into our single family homes, we are starting in the mid 500s on those as well. That's called our Cottage Court series. We also have Providence series. Those are going to be in the mid 700s. One really cool thing about that, aside from being able to work with John, is that those are going to be pre-built homes. So if you have a client who's a little more particular about what they're looking for and they care a lot about what the upgrades look like throughout their home, the floor plan, things like that, then send them our way and we will help them build their dream home. Yes.
I was going to say, pro tip, June 4th is our beats night, but you'll have to finally come out to where? Daybreak.
Yay.
So if you don't have to be there till, I'm going to say 5:45 so you're not late, you should swing by where beforehand to get familiar with their product.
We have about 7 models of each product line right in Daybreak across the street from the Cove. You can come take a look at. Anything, like she said, from 400,000 up to 1.8 million.
Yep, they're awesome. So, yeah, definitely come. Oh, sorry. Definitely come and check us out. One other thing I really wanted to quickly mention is I also have an email list for agents. So I send out updates on new inventory that we have released for sale, new communities that we have going on. We actually have a really cool new one coming up in the next few months. It's called our Urban Townhome Community. It's going to be townhomes located right next to the new baseball field. So we're really excited about those. So if you're not already on that email list, come see me after and we'll fix that. So thank you guys for letting us stop by today.
We also brought some flyers with all of our
Yeah.
standing inventory. We'll leave by the donuts, so it'll be an excuse to get a donut and a flyer.
Yes, please grab a treat. So thank you guys.
Drew. Yeah, Drew. Yeah, that's you.
So quick update on Farmington. This is on your handout, but we finally have internet. You will know more on furniture today, but there is furniture. If anybody was there, all that furniture is still there. So you guys can go in, pop in and work. The internet passwords are on here. We have to do all this crazy stuff. We're sharing the office with Evercast, so they have all these security things, the wallet, financial information they have. So we're getting that all tied down today, which should mean that our printer should start working today or tomorrow. So we're calling it kind of a soft launch, soft opening. Go out there, don't expect signage yet, don't expect it to be perfect, but if you want a space to land, set up your laptop and work, you can totally go up there. We'll have signage on glass next Wednesday, and you'll see just more and more stuff coming. So Randy and Carly are running point on that. They know what you know. This has been an adventure. So, but feel free to go up there and start using it. It's super exciting, and we will do more and more up there. So that's it.
Thanks, Drew. Okay, Boo and Tony. Come on, Boo. You drove all the way up here. We're going to at least give you the mic for a second. Where did Tony go? Okay. We'll have Boo go first.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. Want to give a quick shout out to everybody that helped us with our event last week. Went really well. Super excited. We're going to keep the vibes going. We're going to try to do something quarterly that you can invite agents to. We tried to make it as non-recruiting as possible. That was one of the big things that I wanted us to focus on. This is us giving back to the industry. You don't get to be a top 10 team in the nation and not give back to some people. So we're going to start pulling. What I've realized is I feel like a lot of those events have kind of turned into echo chambers over the last couple of years. You get the same group of speakers, and they just go from brokerage to brokerage to brokerage to brokerage talking about the same stuff. So we're going to start throwing more of these events, and we're going to start pulling from outside of the industry, some really cool people from tech, some cool people from supplements, some cool people from just a bunch of different industries. So look for those coming out in the next couple of months.
Thanks, Jack. Hey, thanks, guys. I don't want to take up too much time, but I'm super excited that we get to learn from Zillow today. It's not very often that they are in town to be here with us. So real briefly, I want to give a little bit of context into Zillow. Zillow, for me, is incredibly interesting because I had never seen it before I joined the Perry Group. So I just want to remind everybody, the most difficult thing, not only for real estate agents, but for any entrepreneur at large, is getting opportunities. It's getting in front of people that may possibly be interested in what you have to sell. And when you look at realtor stats of how low they are, of how many deals agents average, that is a clear demonstration of how difficult it is to get in front of qualified prospects. And before I joined the Perry Group, I had that exact same struggle. And some agents will do a little better with that. Some agents will really struggle with that and be in the business for a little bit and then leave. The one thing that I want to really encourage each and every one of you is to treat your business like a business. Run your business like a business. And what I mean by that is understand how Zillow works, how to make it effective. I've been baffled by the response that the Zillow program has on other teams and how it is viewed. Zillow is where the attention is. It's where consumers shop for homes. Can we agree on that? And so if we have an opportunity to get in front of people that click a button and say, hey, I want to see this house, we cannot take that for granted. We cannot take that for granted. And this team, better than any team in the state, puts so many resources into giving each and every one of us opportunities to where once you understand that, it can absolutely skyrocket your business. The Perry Group literally says, hey, there's this thing called Zillow. It is where most people in America go to shop for homes. I'll make you a deal. We will put up the money to get these leads for you, to get your phone to ring. We will take the financial risk, meaning we're not going to ask you to pay us back if you don't convert. We will supply the transaction coordinators. We will supply the software, the back-end systems. We will establish somebody from the team to be at your office every week to train you on how to do these calls effectively. All you have to do is learn the script and work with people. And there are agents that see that deal and they go, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. I'm good. And so I highly encourage you to dive into Zillow more so, because there is not a team in the state for sure, maybe in the country, that is putting as many resources as TPG is to give all of us opportunities. Agencies will pay for speakers, they'll take you on events, they'll do retreats, but it's different to writing a check every single month so that your phone rings. It's not the same. So as we dive into Zillow, let's all give it the merit that it deserves, because it is a massive opportunity that very few agents are ever going to have access to. Cool?
Thanks, Tony. Thanks. Okay. Well, one last thing before we turn it over to Chris and Zillow. Something happened in the last few weeks with two people that changed their lives completely. So, Hannah, stand up. Brooke, stand up. What happened?
We got married, not to each other. But we both got married.
Okay, where did you get married?
Napa, California.
And where did you get married? How was it, both of them?
Excellent. Hers too. I saw pictures. Beautiful.
So give them a great big hand. You know, I love when people get married, buy a car, and have babies. Do you know why? They have to sell more houses. I love it. It's just, there's nothing better than that. It's just like, you, and then like, yeah. So, okay. Chris, why don't you come forward? So, September 2019, our lives were changed right before us without even realizing. We started off, Michael, Mason Conley, and I, we paid $1,000 a month for Zillow. I will never forget that first week like it was yesterday. We signed up on a Wednesday. $1,000 was a lot of money way back then for us. We started on Wednesday. We got a call on Friday, $1 million list or $1 million buyer. We went under, I showed that home 9:30 on a Sunday morning. We went under contract, and it's been history now for almost 6 years. We started off with 3 agents, and now we have over 210 agents involved in the Perry Group and Zillow. So great things have happened over the years. We put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, and we just are going to turn it over to Chris now. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Jack. All right, if y'all had to guess, what's one thing I'm going to talk about today? No, I'm just kidding. Yes, of course, I'm going to talk to Zillow. And now I have to find a way to transition to that. So do me a favor, humor me if you come to my trainings, which should be all of you at least periodically. You know what I'm about to do. Do me a favor, close your eyes real quick. And just a friendly reminder, I have my own eyes, and they will not be closed. So if you don't close your eyes like Hannah just was trying to do, I can see it. So just close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. I want you to think about, and some of you are brand new to the team, so you might not be fully there yet, but for those that have been around a little bit longer, I just want you to kind of picture some of the Zillow deals you've closed over the years. Can we picture them in our heads? As Zillow conveniently is calling me right this second. All right, picture those. Now I want you to picture some of those were probably really hard closings. Some of them might have been a little more softball and anywhere in between. Can we all agree? Zillow is somewhere from really hard to really easy. Okay, cool. Then I want you to think about some of the paychecks you've had deposited into your bank account from there. Picture those paychecks, picture those paychecks. And then I want you to kind of think about what you've been able to use those paychecks for. I get the privilege of talking to a lot of y'all and have been in y'all's worlds one-on-one for a long time in our team. And I know that some of you have been able to pay for medical bills with those. Some of you have been able to replace cars. Some of you have been able to pay for weddings. Some of you have been able to go on dream trips you could only ever dream of. Some of you have been able to help buy parents' homes. Some of you have been able to kind of look at opening kind of side hustles or businesses, anything in between. And I want you to kind of just picture that, because I think so often with real estate, we're running around so crazy and so ragged, and there's a million things we know we need to do, but then we got to just fight the fight in front of us, and that's all we have energy for, that sometimes we can lose sight that there are some life-changing opportunities on this team from Zillow, and every ounce that we get just a little more intentional, or every ounce we can get a little bit better at fighting those fights, can drastically produce large, life-changing results in our pockets for ourselves, our future selves, and our families. Cool? Sweet. All right, you can open your eyes. Some of you already did. I forgot to tell you to do that. My bad. So you don't have to close your eyes for the next, this isn't a sound bath type of thing. So for the next kind of little bit, there are a lot of moving parts that I think you would have a lot of gray hair or just lose your hair if you knew how much goes into keeping the ship moving forward when it comes to Zillow. And one of the unsung heroes from that you rarely interact with and don't know how much data he looks at just to help us get better is in the house today. And we're going to get to learn a couple of cool things from him and a couple of tweaks that I think if we can even just take 1 degree of things we learn from will make us at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more commission checks this year. So with that being said, I want to introduce our rep, our growth advisor is what they call him, but our friend at Zillow, Taylor. Taylor, come on up here. He's got to set up his stuff for us today and his mic.
Hello.
I wish we would have had a Britney Spears mic for you. That would have been cooler.
And then where do I, how do I get hooked on?
Jack, what does he do with that? I use words. Don't give me a laptop. I don't know what to do with that. So, fun facts. Taylor came from Seattle. Well, the greater Seattle area. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Don't come at me for not Seattle proper. But came from Seattle. Guess when he flew in? Last night, which is guess what Memorial Day is for a lot of people? A corporate holiday. He chose to give up that holiday so that he could be here on Tuesday morning, just so he could kind of take the time to meet with us. And that's really just the kind of guy that he is. So now that I've stalled for time, take us away, buddy.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. Ooh, loud. Good morning. Excited to be here today. Gonna start off today and walk you guys through some fun Zillow facts. Gonna ask for a little engagement. Gonna ask some questions for you guys. We're gonna walk through some changes with the connections process that we just walked through, and want to make sure that I'm bringing some clarity there. And then we're gonna talk through buyer's insights and the My Agent feature and wrap with some Q&A. So, yes, as Chris said, my name is Taylor Carrara. I am your guys' strategic advisor. Excited to be here today. I did come from the greater Seattle area with my friend Straker last night. So really, really happy to be here. You guys are our biggest partner in market-based pricing. So I'm going to start us off here. True or false? Consumers on Google search Zillow more than real estate. Who said true? All right. $10 at Sugar House. All right. Okay, so what percent of home buyers use Zillow as part of their home buying journey? 75? 85? Anybody else? Closest one's going to get it. 87. Okay. 81. Said 85, right? Wait. Said 70. 85. Yep. I had to do the math there. 81%. So 81% of home buyers use Zillow as part of their home buying journey.
Pause real quick. I want you to think of the millions of transactions that happen in real estate. 81% of them at least go through Zillow at some point. That's an insane number. That's insane.
Yeah. What percent of all U.S. home buyers sought a Zillow Premier Agent partner? Give me a hand. Somebody. Come on. 65? 18? 43. 33. So we had 18. Is that close? 35. Keep me honest. Thank you. 33% of U.S. homebuyers sought a Zillow Premier Agent partner. So a third. What percent of U.S. homebuyers who sought a Zillow Premier Agent partner bought a home bought with that Premier Agent? So this is that stat of all the people that you talked to that ended up buying, what percent ended up buying with you versus buying with somebody else? 12%? What? So how many bought with that Premier Agent partner? 27%. 27%. Who's closest? I think I had 35. 21. It's 27. So 27%. So 73% of the connections that you talk to that end up buying buy with somebody else.
So again, I'm going to interrupt here. This is the 27% of all your connections you made. This is out of your expected conversion, you win about 1 out of 4 people that buy with you. Meaning there's 3 out of 4 people that still buy that are up for a little bit less, but roughly 3 out of 4 people on the table that you could get for business, if we could get that number higher.
Every blank, Zillow connects a buyer with a Zillow Premier Agent partner. Second. Every second? Every second? Anybody else? 10 seconds? 20 minutes? Who said a second? You said a second? Second? It's every 5 seconds. Oh. Every 5 seconds. That's during like business hours, of course, but yes. When a buyer and an agent confirm an appointment on a connection call, they are nearly blank times more likely to meet than if they did not confirm an appointment on the connection call. So I'm sure you guys all know what A stands for in ALM, right? So they are nearly 4 times more likely? Sure. 5, 6? 2.2. Who said 3? So obviously we want to confirm that appointment on the connection call. When a buyer says they met with their agent in person or virtually, they are blank times more likely to transact with that agent versus if they didn't meet. Who said 2? Home shoppers are blank times more likely to transact when connected live to a Zillow Premier agent partner than if they were a nurture lead. 3? You said 5. 5? Anybody else? 1.5. Who said 10? It's 4.5. 4.5, so those connections are valuable. We can still convert nurture leads, but connections are where it's at. Best of Zillow Premier agents, which we are the best we can be in the top 99 percentile of all of Zillow, convert at a blank times rate of other Zillow Premier agent partners. 2.5. 2. 3.4. Ooh. Customers who were flagged as high intent buyers are blank more likely to transact the next 3 months. So anyone seen a high intent buyer tag in your connections? Okay, so what times more likely are they to transact? More likely to transact? 2 times? 6 times? 5. Who said 5? 5 times? It's 5. 5 times more likely to transact. So if you see the high intent buyer tag, they are 5 times more likely to transact in the next 3 months. Agents who use Zillow Premier Agent close blank more transactions than agents who don't. 60%. He said, I think that was highest. 60%. 60% more transactions than agents who don't. Okay. If an agent averages $8,400 in commission after splits and converts at 10%, how much is the agent making on each phone call they successfully connect with? Quick, who's first? $8,400 in commission, you convert at 10%. How much do you make on every phone call? What if you convert at 15%? 1260. $840 per phone call that you take. $1260 if you're at 15%, right? So that's Perry Group is inviting you guys to make money. They're making your phone ring, right? So for every phone call. All right. Here. Appreciate you guys working with me on that. Now I'm going to walk through, we're done with facts, and we are going to talk about connections. So, the legacy connection process, this is what we are used to, is consumer reaches out. We go through connection validation. We're going to go ahead and go through it automated 2 times and then manually trying to get a hold of that buyer. And then we're going to ring 10 people at the same time. First person to answer would get the call. Is everyone familiar with this? Okay. If there was a failed connection, what would happen? We are going to re-ring the 9 people who didn't drop that call, and the first person to pick up that phone call is going to get it, right? So first person to answer. The process recently changed, and the new connection process looks like this. Consumer reaches out. We go through connection validation. 80% of the time, we are going to be automated. 20% of the time, you'll be talking to a live agent. We broadcast 10 agents in a zip code. Doesn't matter necessarily who picks up the phone first. What matters is who hits the green connect button first, okay? So it's who connects to that buyer. So essentially what this means is if Chris picks up a phone call and Jack picks up a phone call and Jack hasn't pressed the green connect button, we're going to keep everybody on until Jack presses that green connect button. And if he drops that call or doesn't successfully connect and Chris is the next person to click that green connect button, we're going to go to him. So essentially, instead of dropping calls and re-rigging you, we're keeping everybody on until there's a successful connection in place. What questions do we have?
Why are there so many failed connections?
Yeah. Well, a couple things is number one is if agents weren't hitting the green connect button, there's that piece.
I mean, it shows network errors all the time.
Salt Lake City really has more cell phone service issues than anywhere I've seen.
That's likely.
Yeah, that's likely a part of it. And there's a lot of it you can't control. And we're trying to put this in place so that we have got less drop calls as a team. So that if you drop a call, that somebody else can go ahead and successfully connect. Anybody else? I know it's been a hot topic. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna pause here because I don't know if people are taking stuff in or understanding. So for the last several weeks, we have a whole dedicated channel to this now, known as the Great Zillow Glitch of Whenever, where people have been like, wait, it's telling me I won the call, but then I didn't win the call. Did someone steal the call? And there's been a million questions. Not as vigorously if you have complained or rightfully complained about this or have experienced this. And you might be entitled to 1-800, let's ask questions now. So what Taylor is saying is what is kind of managed was a product team's intentional way of changing things that they were slow to relay to the rest of us and then had poor messaging on. They're working on the messaging, but now the system isn't when you swipe to answer, if Anthony is first, he hears, great, you've accepted a tour request. The rest of us hear, sorry, another member has answered the call, and then it hangs up on us. We hear messages that say something along the lines of, I can't remember the exact verbatim, but it's something like,
You have the opportunity.
you have the opportunity to win this call, blah, 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 blah. Is everybody tracking so far? So out of 10 people's phones rings, if 4 people answer, who gets the call? First person to do what? What's the connect button? It's a green check mark. Okay? Then I need you to be aware of that because the next slide that we're about to talk about is super important. Everyone close your eyes so no one feels embarrassed again. I have to do this. Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Raise your hand if you hear that change and you immediately get stressed out. Okay? Raise your hand if you hear this change and you honestly still don't actually understand what's going on. It's It's okay. I mean, it's fine. Your eyes are closed. No one's judging you. Raise your hand if you're excited about this change. Okay. This is our time to talk about it. Some of you are probably excited because you're like, great, I was slow to answer my phone, but I can be faster than them to hit connect. Others of you might be stressed out because you're like, if I hit connect, I haven't even looked at the home yet. How on earth am I supposed to be able to talk to them about a home I haven't even pulled up on the MLS yet? Who said that? Axel. Get out of here. Just kidding. All right, so now I want to pay attention to this slide as Taylor talks about it. Take it away.
Yeah. So these are what live transfer scenarios look like. 80% of the time, we are going to get you, the agent, before we get the buyer on the phone. 80% of the time. I do want to asterisk this. There is a new process that is rolling out. I think it's actually today. If the buyer fails to pick up after live transfer automation, we're going to retry live transfer automation, and then we are going to disconnect you if we cannot get a hold of that buyer, as opposed to what you were hearing before, which is a live connections rep getting on, telling you to hold, and maybe you might wait for 5, 10, 15 minutes while a live connections rep is trying to get a hold of the buyer. So the good news is if we don't get a hold of the buyer through automated process twice, we're going to tell you, fortunately, we're unable to connect. We're going to put you back in queue. But I know that's not like great news, but the good news is you're not going to be waiting for 15 minutes in order for a live person to try to get a hold of somebody. So that's a new process. 80% of the time, we get you first. 20% of the time, we will have that buyer first. This may happen if we weren't able to go ahead and connect through live transfer automation and the rep continued to reach out to the buyer to get them on the phone first, and then they try you. This could happen if Beth, the buyer, reaches out to our connections team via phone call because we've been SMS texting them, are you ready to talk to an agent? Or they said, I'll be ready in an hour. They picked up and called us. So 20% of the time, we have the buyer first. So I think what Chris is alluding to, and we want to think about, what we want to game plan for here, is that 20% of the time, you're not going to have 1 to 2 minutes between acceptance and connection to look at the property. You're going to have 10 to 20 seconds. So more often than not, you're going to have the time to look up the property, but there are going to be instances about 20% of the time where we have the buyer first. So, Chris, do you want to add anything as far as game planning that process for people? I know that we probably want to be able to look at a home, see how many bedrooms it has, see if it's got, say, a finished basement, see how many bathrooms it has, if it has a pool. Like, we want to know the basics, right?
Yeah, so I would encourage y'all a couple things. One, 4 out of 5 times, you're going to have a minute or two to look up the property. It's just a reverse order. Typically, you would look up the home, feel comfortable about it, and as long as you did it within like 60 seconds, hit connect, then get connected. Now you're hitting connect first, 80% of the time, so 4 out of 5. You have 1 to 2 minutes. You might actually have more if it's 2 minutes. That's a lot longer than you've had to fully look at the property as much as you want, look at the history until they get on the phone. For the 20% of the time, this is where I'm personally stressed because what I do really, really well on Zillow is I stay in control of things. And I don't want 5 seconds in me trying to pull up the home. And when I'm stressed about pulling up the home, I'm talking to Jake, who's the client, and I can't think, look at stuff, and have a conversation that doesn't sound like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Type of thing. So for 20% of the time, it's an unfortunate change for that, but it's one we can't change. So we're going to adapt. This is where you've got to get really, really good, really, really quickly at being able to look up enough about a home that you sound confident, but not enough that you have to pretend you know everything about the home. So if you've been to my trainings, this is where I say it's important to not show them any red flags. Are y'all familiar with the term red flags? It's like pop culture 101 right now. What that looks like is if they think they're talking to a listing agent, raise your hand if you have a listing right now, live. If I was to call on one of you, Could you tell me if there was a finished basement or not in that listing immediately? Yes. Would you be able to tell me if it's 1 or 2 layers of shingles on the roof immediately? Some of you might, but for the most of us, no. So if a client, you need to know enough about the home to be like, does it have a pool? Is the basement finished? Can I roughly say, oh, this is on, St. Mary's? Okay, great. And it looks like it's been remodeled in the last 5 years. Cover your bases and then control the conversation. I wouldn't be asking, which you're not supposed to anyways, but I wouldn't be like, hi, Anthony, do you have any questions about this home? Oh, I can't answer that. I'm so sorry. This is why it's important to immediately take, hey, I saw that you wanted to go see this home. It's also why we don't use real live examples when I mock with you, because I want you great at the conversation, not becoming dependent on how well you can look up a property in 10 seconds. Cool? All right, Taylor, keep going.
Any questions on this process, both the connections process and how we connect you and the live transfer scenarios, having the buyer first versus having the agent first? All right. I thought we were going to have more questions.
I thought we would have a lot more questions.
Okay.
Where's Mona? She's not here today. She would have had questions.
Okay. Yeah.
How much vetting goes into finding out if they have an active agent they're working with or if they're calling on a FISBO?
Zero. We do not ask people if they have an agent. The only time that happens is if we are doing a real-time tour, which we really don't have many in Utah because Utah doesn't like putting homes on showing time, which is the way that we book real-time tours. So that is the only time when we ask people to have an agent. We ask, our vetting questions is, are you looking to buy, sell, or rent? We only send people that are looking to buy or sell. And are you ready to talk to an agent? That's it. Yeah. Great questions. Anybody else? Yes? When you say not being able to connect, tell me more. Yeah. Well, it's going to happen, and if we look at this scenario here, like we are getting the agent, you, first before we get the buyer. The buyer told us they were going to be available at the time, and they didn't pick up. But I guess the other piece would be is a lot of what we've worked through over the last month and the changes in scenarios is a lot of times, like there was a period of time when, as Chris was very nice about saying this, that we were working through that connections process, but really we were giving you the wrong messaging. We're saying, hey, you dropped this call, what happened, right? And when you didn't, we actually connected to somebody else on your team. So we were working through some of our workflows. So I guess it really depends upon if we're talking about that, because a lot of those we actually did connect, or if we're talking about just dropped calls. I can tell you, because I meet with leadership team once a week, our drop calls are way down since the change, but there has been frustration, obviously, at your level as far as understanding what's going on, and that's why we're talking about it.
Sometimes I'll get a notification that says, sorry, we missed you, but my phone didn't even ring. Does that just mean somebody else picked it up like before I even had the chance to get it?
It can, right, because essentially there's not a lot of rhyme or reason as far as like what cell phone carriers are going to ring quicker than others, so it can mean that. But I would tell you this, that if you're seeing that that's happening over and over again, get on the line with support and go ahead and.
But every now and then I'll get a notification and it says sorry, but it didn't even,
Yeah.
there's no missed call notification.
It happens all the time to clients. I would just say that if you're noticing it's happening oftentimes as opposed to like once in a while, because yes, could mean somebody else just beat you to it before you even, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes I'll connect and it just goes in error and the customer's like, hello, you know, if you don't know that you connected yet, are they gonna get back into introduction? Because we started introduction, I don't remember what it said. Yeah, are we gonna, is that coming back? Yeah.
So you're connecting and you're not hearing anything. You're not hearing AI or anything. You just.
And then I'll say hello, but they're not connected
and then they're there. Yeah, I mean, I would say when those happen, that's what I would suggest you start using that Zillow bug channel for, because that is a bug that shouldn't happen. But the scenario where someone beat me to the call, like, that's by design. But if that happens, it shouldn't happen. I think you guys probably experience more of this because of the amount of volume that you guys see, like more than any other. So whereas a lot of teams might be like, oh, that was weird, and they experienced it one time, you guys are experiencing like a couple of our glitches over and over again. So bubble that up through your through the bug channel. Thank you. All right, anybody else? So I want to walk through some buyer's insights real quick. If you see this in connections, and we're going to walk through this, but these are going to be tags you are going to see on your connections, and you will see these with your My Agent connections. So if you see Showcase, this means this was your lead that came from your Showcase listing, which is great. If you see Real-Time Tour, again, not a lot of real-time tours in Utah, but you guys still probably get 5, 10 a month. This is going to be a process where it's essentially like a Instabook tour, if you will. Only happens when a property is on showing time. The ones you're going to see the most are these 3, and these are my favorite 3. Re-engaged buyer. If you see the re-engaged buyer tag, this buyer may have taken some time out their search, at least 14 days, and they've recently begun their search again. So if they have disengaged for 14 days or more and then they are back, you're going to see re-engaged buyer. Specific home interest. For me, this is like my favorite because there's a call to action attached to it, I think. The buyer has shown particular interest in at least one specific home that Zillow has identified as part of the Zillow's client insight tools. So what this means, tag is triggered when a buyer revisited a property 10 times in 7 days. So do you think if a buyer is looking at a house 10 times, they've got some interest if they're looking at it 10 times in 7 days, right? So we're gonna hop into the UI real quick before we wrap here, and we're gonna walk through how to find these tags. But if it's me, like I'm gonna reach out, Jack Taylor with ABC Realty, giving you a quick call. I know we connected about a month ago. Zillow reached out and said you might be interested in 123 Main Street. When do we want to go see it, Jack? Like use that as your call to action. Like when you see it pop up, you can blame Zillow, but go ahead and use that as an opportunity to re-engage on those connections, like a new connection. And then high intent buyer, right? How many more times likely is that buyer likely to transact in 3 months? Anyone remember? 5 times, right? 5 times. So this is like flag up, priority. Like we see this, got to make sure that we're on top of this, right? So where do we see these?
Yeah, while he's pulling it up, because I know we only have just a few more minutes. So again, remember at the beginning when I said roughly 25 is 27, but let's just count it as a quarter of the people that actually end up buying. So not the random 3rd grade girl that called me from Florida that I can't talk to without going to prison. But the people that actually buy on Zillow, which is a ton, data shows that throughout Zillow, throughout the U.S., the person that gets the call is only closing about 1/4 of those. But 3 more are up for grabs. So remember at the very beginning when I started this, if we can fine-tune even a degree of getting better at that, out of getting one of those 3, or even slightly better at getting one of those 3, that's a lot of huge opportunities for us. And what he's talking about on these, he's going to show us, for just a few minutes. I would be looking at, on my dashboard, anyone flagged as high intent, I would be thinking ding, 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 ding. That's 5 times more likely to convert quickly and actually. So am I even aware of who's that in my pipeline? Or did I not know about it? Did someone look at if someone looks at a property 47 times, do you think they like that property? I don't think their computer was glitching and just like reloading. So like these are things that are going to cue us in. Oh, how can we be even better for our clients? All right, Taylor, we got like 4 minutes.
Okay, I'll be quick. Really, the goal here is just want to show you guys how we can capitalize on Zillow's platform to follow up on your pipeline, okay? So number one, if you are in your contacts tab and you go to filters, you go over here to the right to tags, you can click on high intent buyer. This is gonna tell me everyone I have in my pipeline, this is all of the Perry Group, that's a high intent buyer. So that if I wanted to make sure I was following up with those people, I would go into filters and tag high intent buyer, right? We can do the same thing for re-engaged buyer and specific home interest, someone who looked at a house 10 times or more. So this is where I would go. Additionally, when we're talking about follow-up, I would also use these filters to filter out your My Agent relationships. And see, sorry guys. We can go into filters and filter out by My Agent relationship right here. So we can filter and look at everything that's active, everything that ends soon, so those within 30 days, anyone who's pending, anyone who's expired or declined your relationship. Again, I would filter by this, start with your expireds and make sure that you're looking against the people that you know that you're working with. And hitting those people up. Last thing I want to show you with the My Agent relationship, obviously I think most of the people in this room understand the My Agent relationship, but when we log in, we are going to see over to the right our status, confirm your Avengers agent. Right now we've got a 30-day My Agent connection, which is what we see on most. However, if the buyer severed the tie, they always could do that. You may have nothing. If it's a nurture lead, you'll have nothing. If they said they wanted to work with you on the survey, you'll have 1 year. But for the most part, you'll have 30 days here. And there's a lot of different ways that people like to try to go after these extensions. Whether you're doing it in person, you're doing it over the phone, you go in and you hit this confirm button to send them that extension. I generally wouldn't do it blind, is the one thing I would tell you, because if people decline them, you're going to lose that My Agent relationship. The My Agent relationship is important because it gives you exclusivity on the app. So if we get an extension and your buyer ghosted you and they're back looking in 6 months and you have a 1 year, it goes right to you. Doesn't go back to the advertising. We don't pay for it again. If you do not have a My Agent relationship and they re-inquire, it's going to go back through advertising. So Perry Group will either pay for it again or it'll go to the competition. So get those extensions out. Last piece I just want to show, make sure that everybody is familiar with the buyer's insights. So if you look at the buyer activity tab, this one's probably not a great example, but you can see when they're most active, when they were last online, the price range they're looking at. This one's $790 to $810. Looks like they've only looked at 2 houses. This is a newer connection. Sometimes you're going to see a lot of activity here. And then you can look at what they viewed. So we looked at a house in Draper for $885 and one in Sandy. I bet we don't have anything saved. Nothing's saved, but you can see what they've saved and then what our UI recommends. Use these to be specific and intentional to go ahead and reconnect with your pipeline to set up that next meeting. Hey, you know what, Jack, I was thinking about you the other day. I saw 11096 South Cadbury. You had any interest in it? Have you taken a look? When can we go see it? So we can get back in front of them. So I know we're at time, but buyer's insights, buyer activity, My Agent, tags, use them to follow up on your pipeline. And I know Chris and your leadership team is very well aware. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you, Jack.
So Taylor's going to be here all afternoon. Please go talk to them, ask them questions, pick their brain. Please do that afterwards. Jordan, why don't you come real quick? You got a exciting announcement I think everybody's going to love.
What's up, guys? So, Carson, are you here? Yep. This is Carson, everybody. February, you wave real quick and make sure everyone sees you. He is starting full-time as of last week, and he will be doing listing videos for the team. So we will have somebody dedicated to that so that you guys can all have that available to you for free. So if you want to utilize that, please do. We will be sending out a link that you can book And then he can also block out times if he's editing or already scheduled stuff like that. So keep an eye out for that link, but we'll have listing videos for everyone soon. So that was Jaden is out of town today, so we will be working. Anybody that wants to come do content, come talk to me and we'll figure something out. But she had something come up last second, so.
Thanks. Okay, we have a rule here. You got to introduce yourself to 2 people you have never met before, because we have people from Utah County and Salt Lake and Davis and Weber.